My parents told everyone I failed. I sat in silence at my brother's engagement dinner, invisible as always, until his fiancée locked eyes with me and whispered, "Wait, you're Michael Carter?" The whole room froze. Even my father, never at a loss for words, went dead silent. Let me rewind. Reddit. I wasn't supposed to be here. In fact, I hadn't been invited to a family event in years. I was the black sheep, the college dropout, the screw-up, the eternal disappointment, while my younger brother, Mark, was showered with praise for every accomplishment. I was the cautionary tale. Graduations, holidays, even casual dinners happened without me. My parents had made it clear I didn't belong. But then, my cousin Natalie texted me out of the blue, "You should see this for yourself." And like an idiot, I went. The venue was way too fancy for my parents' budget, which told me everything. Mark was thriving. Of course he was. Perfect grades, prestigious internships, the whole golden child package. Meanwhile, I showed up in a simple button-down, bracing for the usual cold shoulders. No one noticed me at first. I had to tap my mother's shoulder just to get a reaction. "Michael," she said, like I was a bill collector at the door. "Just wanted to congratulate Mark," I muttered. No warmth, no welcome, just stiff nods before I was exiled to the far end of the table, next to an empty seat. Dinner was a parade of my brother's achievements. My dad bragged, twice, about the dishwasher Mark bought them. My mom gushed over the engagement ring. Every word felt like a reminder. This is what we wanted. This is what you're not. Then, halfway through dessert, she walked in. Late, confident, effortlessly elegant. Mark stood up, smiling. "Babe, we thought you weren't coming." "Last-minute work thing," she said, shrugging off her coat. Then her eyes landed on me. A flicker of confusion, a pause, recognition. She took the empty seat beside me, studying me like I was a puzzle she needed to solve. Then, under her breath, she said, "Wait, you're Michael Carter?" I frowned. "Yeah, do we know each other?" She glanced at my family, oblivious, still fawning over Mark, then back at me. "Rachel Langston," she said, "we met at the TechFront Summit in San Diego. You gave a keynote on neural adaptive systems. You were with Nova Synth, right?" My stomach dropped. No one in my family knew about that life. To them, I was just a dropout who vanished. The truth? I'd been buried under NDAs at a top AI firm, then walked away with enough to build something of my own. And now, by some cosmic joke, my brother's fiancée was the one person who actually knew who I was. The room kept buzzing, clueless. But for the first time in years, I wasn't the failure at the table. I was the one they never saw coming. I had spent years carefully keeping my life separate from theirs. They didn't support me when I struggled. Why give them the satisfaction of knowing I succeeded? "You remember that?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Rachel leaned in. "I was just a research intern back then. Your talk rewired my entire thesis. I tried to email you afterward, but you vanished." Across the table, my father's fork clattered against his plate. My mother's smile had frozen in place. They'd heard my name. "Michael Carter," my dad said slowly, testing the words like they didn't fit. The table went quiet. My uncle's wine glass hovered mid-sip. My aunt's eyes darted between me and Rachel. Mark's jaw tightened. Rachel, blissfully unaware, turned to my family. "You never told me your brother was the Michael Carter." The silence turned electric. My mother's laugh came out sharp, unnatural. "Oh, Rachel, you must be confused. Michael, well, he's had some difficulties, dropped out. You know, works odd jobs here and there." I exhaled through my nose. There it was, the story they'd crafted. The role I'd been cast in without my consent. Rachel's brow furrowed. "That's not possible. The Michael Carter from Nova Synth pioneered half the adaptive neural frameworks my company uses. There's no way." I didn't let her finish. Pulling out my phone, I opened my LinkedIn and slid it across the table. Her eyes scanned the screen, went wide. "Oh my God, this is you." My father opened his mouth, closed it. I stood slowly, the chair scraping loud in the stunned silence. "Yeah, it's me. The same Michael you all decided was a failure before I even got started." I looked at Mark. "Congrats on the engagement." Then to Rachel, you'll fit right in, assuming you're okay with people who rewrite history to suit their narrative. The voices erupted as I walked away, my mother's shrill Michael, my uncle's confused muttering, Mark's hissed, what the hell is happening? The night air hit my face like a relief. For the first time in years, the weight was gone. I'd been carrying their expectations, their disapproval, their manufactured version of me, and I'd just dropped it all at their feet. Then came the click of hurried heels behind me. Michael, wait. Rachel caught up, her breath visible in the cold. There was something fierce in her expression, not pity, but determination. I need you to come back inside, she said. I barked out a laugh. Why the hell would I do that? Because I just realized I'm about to marry into a family of liars, she said, voice steady, and I refuse to let them pretend you don't exist anymore. The parking lot lights flickered above us. Somewhere behind her, the restaurant door opened, my father's silhouette appeared, then hesitated. Rachel didn't even glance back, she just held out her hand. Come tell them who you really are. And for the first time in my life, I realized someone in my family was finally on my side. The cold air bit at my skin as I stared at Rachel, this woman who'd just upended my family's carefully constructed lie with a few simple sentences. You realize if I walk back in there, it'll burn everything down, I said quietly. Rachel didn't hesitate. Good. I studied her face, the set of her jaw, the fire in her eyes. This wasn't just about me anymore. She'd been lied to too. Taking a deep breath, I turned back toward the restaurant. The moment we stepped inside, the chatter died, every head swiveled toward us. My mother's lips pressed into a thin line. Mark's face flushed red. My father opened his mouth, but Rachel spoke first. So, she said, her voice carrying across the silent room. Who wants to explain why no one mentioned that Michael here basically wrote the book on adaptive neural networks? My uncle choked on his drink. An aunt gasped. Rachel, darling, my mother tried, her voice sickly sweet. There's clearly been some misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, I cut in. My voice sounded calmer than I felt. Just the truth you've been hiding for years. I didn't fail out of college. I left because NovaSynth offered me a lead developer position. The odd jobs you've been telling people about? That was me building my own company. Mark stood abruptly, his chair screeching. You expect us to believe that? I didn't blink. Check the tech journals from 2018, or my patents. Or, here's a thought, you could have just asked me. The silence that followed was deafening. Then, from the back of the room, my cousin Natalie, the one who'd invited me, started clapping. Slowly at first, then louder. About damn time, she said, grinning. One by one, other relatives began murmuring. An uncle nodded approvingly. An aunt whispered, I always knew there was more to the story. My parents looked like they'd been slapped. Mark kept opening and closing his mouth like a fish out of water. Rachel stepped forward, slipping her hand into mine. For the record, she announced, I'm calling off the engagement. The room erupted. As chaos swirled around us, Rachel squeezed my hand. Turns out I have a policy about not marrying into families who lie about their children, she said lightly. I couldn't help it, I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in years. Later, as we walked out together into the night, she turned to me. So, where does the Real Michael Carter go from here? I glanced back at the restaurant, then at this woman who'd just turned my world right side up. Honestly, I have no idea, but for the first time in a long time, that feels okay. She smiled. Good answer. And just like that, the life they'd written for me was over. The one I'd actually earned? It was just beginning.